Red Rooster Stead is said to be named for a rooster that hatched with feathers as red as wine. Some versions of the tale go on to say that when this rooster was entered into one of the settlement's nightly cockfights, a brawl occurred in the crowd at the same time. By the end of both battles, the spectators and both roosters were showered in red blood. I don't know which version of the story is true, but I get shivers just thinking about it. This proud settlement has been a part of the La Noscean landscape for well on 40 years, and it was established by a botanist with a keen interest in experimentation. The farmers here have a deep love of their craft and aren't afraid to test out an unconventional method or two to produce a result. Heck, they even pride themselves in the sacrifice of a full harvest now and again just to see the results. Couldn't imagine losing a whole harvest and being excited about it. But that's the type of folks what lives here. I bet Great-Grandpa would have scoffed if he'd heard about that. As we made our way up the small path to the farm, I felt the last shakes of fear drift away. The smell of livestock mixing with the sea breeze brought me back to thoughts of home, and I knew right away I'd like this place. Come on, Farron. Let's go see if we can't help some folks. As we passed under the stony arch, we were met with the sight of a group of farmers eagerly chatting away about the name of this very stead. I couldn't help but chuckle to myself as we continued up the hill. Approaching the land at the top of the hill, I found myself drawn to a rogated male who was speaking to a woman tending to a chocobo. From the look on his face and the concern that clung to his voice, I just knew he must be in some sort of predicament. Hi there, sir. My name is Systori, and I'm on a mission to help people all over Eorzea.
They call me the Stead Shepherd, but all three kinds of livestock we breed here fall under my crook. Nevertheless, sheep remain my first love, my one true passion. So you can imagine my dismay at finding my flock in frumpy fleece. I can't very well take worn-out wool to market. A sheep with no shine is good for nothing but mutton. But where there's a wool, there's a way. See what Chartain has to say.
Don't you worry, sir. We'll get this all sorted. While I wasn't exactly sure who Chartain was, I reckoned it best to go to the sheep pen and ask there. As I came upon the gate, my eyes fell upon a tall man with silver hair who stood amongst the flock. While the other folks were busy shoveling and raking out lettuce and milling corn, he held an air of importance and seemed more concerned with the goings-on of the sheep than the others. So I reckoned I'd better talk to him. Howdy, sir. I was sent to speak to you by the Stead Shepherd. Chartain eyed me curiously as I explained the shepherd's plight. He gave me a bemused smirk before speaking.
Moegramm had some little lambs whose fleece was white as snow, but everywhere the little lambs went, lice were sure to go. Now was stuck with lousy sheep. In the time it takes me to brush one clean, the lice spread to 2 more. I just can't keep up with them by myself. If you could brush, say, 3 shaggy sheep for me, we might be able to wipe out the infestation altogether. Let Moegramm know his sheep are in ship shape once you've finished. He gave me a wink and passed me the brush. Certainly, sir. We'll have these shaggy sheep a-glistening again in no time. Boy, that wool sure was thick. By the time I'd finished combing the sheep, I'd worked up a proper sweat. But my job wasn't done just yet. I had to find Moegramm and let him know his sheep problem was all sorted. Mr. Moegramm, sir, Charten and I have successfully gotten the lice problem under control.
For an adventurer, you certainly know how to wield a lice comb. As I'm sure you have found, sheep are delicate souls that require delicate care. Truly wonderful wool requires time, love, and tenderness. You must caress their coats ever so gently. Listen to their soft bleating in your ear. Feel the warmth of their breath on your neck.
The Rogadin got a strange smile on his face and a faraway look in his eye as he clumsily handed me a few gill. I wasn't too sure I'd like a sheep breathing on my neck, but I reckon that's the difference between a grand stead shepherd and a regular old farm boy like me. As I was just about to leave, an older gentleman standing to the side waved me over.
You're an adventurer, eh?
I gave him a nod. Aye, sir, I reckon I am.
I wonder if you could help me. I tasked my granddaughter and Critter to procure some supplies for me, but she has yet to return.
Aunt Greta? Where have I heard that name before?
Would you be so kind as to go to her to see if she's in need of assistance? She's a yellow jacket and is stationed in the ice.
Aye, sir. I'll find your granddaughter and see what I can't do to help her out. The Eyes is a landmark named by the locals of Moegramm Bay for its unique resemblance to 2 eyes. While some say they feel a sense of unease when walking past them, Great-Grandpa said he thought the eyes looked forlorn, as if they were waiting for a dear love to come home they knew would never return. As I made my way down the road away from Red Rooster Stead, I pondered over where I'd heard the name Encreta before. It wasn't until I crossed beneath the eyes and saw the woman before me that it hit me.
You say someone told you to come to me for work, lad? I'm afraid you've been had. We're known to hire adventurers, 'tis true, but we always go through the Adventurers Guild.
I could feel the shame creeping over my face as I realized I'd promised this woman that I'd help her and never returned. Howdy, ma'am. I don't know if you remember me, but I swore I'd help you, and I'm awful sorry I didn't come back sooner. Your grandpa asked me to seek you out. Me granddad's head of the Red Rooster Stead. Antioch's his name. He asked me to bring him some river toad livers, but the mere thought of pulling slimy livers out of slimy frogs gives me the shivers. Maybe you'd care to fetch a liver or 3 for me? You can get 'em by slaying the river toads what dwell around the eyes. While I'll admit the thought of extracting slimy livers from toads made me a little woozy, I knew I had to make things right with Miss Encritta. I swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and gave her a confident smile. You just leave it to me, Miss Encritta. I'll get you those livers before the sun leaves the sky. The river toads were easy to find. My stomach churned with a combination of nausea and guilt as I watched them splashing about the water. It was a shame to end their lives on such a beautiful day. Yet I made a promise to Antioch and Encrita both. You're a lifesaver, venturer. Now, I'd take these livers to Grandad myself, but I can't just up and leave me post. Not to mention the mere sight of those slimy things makes me stomach turn. Do you mind doing the delivering in me stead? Find old Antioch at the Rooster Stead and you can turn those river-toad livers to gill. Glad to be of help, ma'am. Your livers are safe with me. Antioch was in the middle of a conversation with the Makote gal as I approached.
I swear this is the last time I send that granddaughter of mine to fetch river-toad livers.
Pardon me, sir, but Encrita asked me to bring these to you.
Why? These are the livers I asked for. I should have known better. Encrita has been dainty since she was a wee lass. I regret any trouble we've caused you.
No trouble at all, sir. I was happy to do it for you both.
I heard that the New Worlders use fish livers as fertilizer, and so I thought I would give toad livers a try. A farmer can't be afraid to try new things. Nay, he must grow his knowledge as he grows his crops. That's how this farm grew to be what it is. You'd do well to stick around and see.
Yes, sir. I'd be honored to learn more about your farm.
Well, in that case, might I trouble you once more?
Oh, well, certainly, sir.
I hope you don't feel sheepish about hauling a wee bit of wool. The flock's fleece is shorn and secured. The sack is all set to sail. Normally, the Manic Miller up north takes it and felts it for us. But it seems the only wool his courier's tending to today is his blanket, the lackadaisical loafer. So I hoped you might see to it the sack of fleece down by the flock's pen reaches the miller. Whitezern is his name.
You can count on me, sir. I'll get that delivered lickety-split. The sack of fleece was easy enough to find, located just where Antioch said it would be, outside of the flock's pen. I wanted to make sure I delivered the fleece to the right location, so I stopped to ask some nearby farmers. They told me I'd find the miller over in the Grey Fleet. When I asked what that was, he told me that the Grey Fleet was a wind farm located atop Widow Cliffs. This wind farm was used to power the surrounding mills, which are responsible for supplying wheat and wool to Limsa Lominsa. These mills were made from the dead works and dunnage of decommissioned ships, as well as the cloth from the masts of the Armada. In a way, it's like the fleet is still together, even if it's changed its shape a bit. Whitezern was the overseer of the Grey Fleet, so I'd find him there more than likely.
A miller with no fleece is an artist with no canvas, a poet with no words, a man with no purpose.
My apologies, sir, but it seems like the man who was supposed to deliver your wool decided to take a nap instead.
Curse that blasted courier! Do the sheep stop growing? Does the mill stop churning? What entitles him to rest?
But never fear, 'cause I happen to have your wool with me right here.
Bah! Let him count sheep in his bed. The wool is at last mine, and soon the felt shall be brought.
While I'll admit White's errand was a bit unusual, I could admire his passion for his chosen field of work. I'm glad I was able to bring the wool to him. That night, I was invited to join the farmers of Red Rooster Stead around their fire. As I sat, listening in as they chattered amongst themselves over the day's work, I lost myself in the fire before me. The flames swirled and danced, deep red and orange plumes crackling as they burned the bottom of the cauldron and climbed toward the sky. The wood the farmers had chosen had a sweet smell to it that mixed with the scent of the stew and the smoke like a lullaby. Embers sparked and leapt, casting aside tiny ashes that fell behind them as they tried their best to reach the sky. It was almost like they were trying to become one with the stars. I inhaled the scent deeply, closing my eyes. I was brought back to nights at the farm. After all the work had been done, when the last days of summer still clung on despite the change of season's imminent approach, Ma, Great-Grandpa and I would sit around our own campfire. Many times I would sit and listen to Great-Grandpa tell Ma about his day. She'd interject to scold or tease him, and every so often to sympathize. When I was younger, I had to go to bed early, but as I grew, Ma was the first to retire. That's when I'd ask Great-Grandpa to regale me with a story. Sometimes he'd tell me about his travels and things he'd encountered on his fishing trips all over Eorzea. Other times, he'd tell me all the old myths of the realm, of how the gods came to be and what each one represented. As a fisherman and a sailor, Great-Grandpa would often say prayers to Llymlaen before he left on his journeys. She's the goddess of navigation and watcher of the seas. I remember him telling me the story of Llymlaen, of how she was the daughter of Thaliek and Azema, and how she created 2 sea serpents, Pericus and Thalios, to spread her grandmother Nemaya's water throughout the world. From the serpent's mouths flowed forth a fount of water, which eventually created Heidelin seas. Great-Grandpa's voice rang in my ears as I recalled the story. My thoughts drifted to Antioch and Encrita. While their relationship seemed a little strained, it was obvious that Antioch loved his granddaughter. I wondered if he ever told her any stories around the fire when she was young, too. Suddenly, the farmers near me let out a raucous laughter, springing me out of my reverie with a jolt. I suddenly realized how warm it was near the flames and how high the moon was in the sky. If I were to get an early start on helping people tomorrow, I had better turn in for the night. I stretched my arms high above my head and bid my goodnights, thanking the farmers for their kindness. As I drifted to sleep that night, I felt as though I were floating aboard a large ship, gently rocking with the crests of the ocean waves. The next morning, Farron and I decided to take a look around the farm. Antioch held so much pride for his stead that I felt it only right I should see what I could learn here. Maybe we could find out something Ma would find beneficial. Exploring the dodo pens, I met a pleasant Mikote gal who was watching over the flock. Dodos sure were big and cute. I just wanted to bury my face in their soft feathers. I wondered what Ma would think of getting a few dodos. In the chocobo pen, we came across a poor fallen bird. When I asked what was wrong, they told me it was depressed and had stopped eating. Now it was so weak, it was likely to be put down. Chocobos really are sensitive beasts. They form deep bonds and have a loyalty that is unmatched. After our exploration, I had a lot I wanted to write home to Ma about, but I reckoned it was time we go help some more folks. I decided to see if Moegramm needed any more assistance. He was the Stead shepherd, after all.
They may call it the Red Rooster Stead, but make no mistake, dodos are the birds that keep this stead steady. Those sweet and tender eggs, that succulent meat. So long as you remove a dodoling's poison glands, you're in for some scrumptious and healthy poultry. They're so delicious, I have to remind myself some birds just aren't meant to be caged. Or perhaps I don't. Talk to Expion and see if we can't return those exquisite creatures to their pen.
Expion was the pleasant gal we ran into at the dodo pen. At the chance to play with some dodos, I was eager to get to her straight away.
Am I ever pleased to see you? I was about to cry foul, but with your help, we can round them up. Those dim-witted dodos pecked through the fencing and flew the coop. Fled the coop. Luckily, they know better than to leave the stead. There are 3 bolting dodos in all. If you spot one, just throw one of these dodo-sized sacks over its head. Once you've caught all the birds, would you mind leaving them in Moegramm's care? I need to repair the fencing before we can return them to this enclosure, you see?
Sure thing, ma'am. I'll take care of it. While I was a little unsure about putting dodos in sacks, I reckoned if this is the way they did things around here, it must work. It wasn't too hard to track down the wily birds. They hadn't gone too far and just seemed contented to graze around the stead.
I've heard everything. Hand me the dodos. Oh, my precious darlings. Without their poison breath, they're defenseless out in the wild. Daddy Dodo gets so worried. And now my dodos have another daddy. You'll stay around and look after my babies, won't you? At least until they're ripe for slaughter.
Well, sir, I'll see what I can do. I was beginning to wonder about Mr. Moegramm. His love for his livestock was unmatched, but he sure was something else. I may say he was crazy as a soup sandwich. I was just thinking who I should approach next when a loud woman's voice carried me to the fire. Pardon me, ma'am, but I couldn't help to notice you sound a little frustrated. Might I be of help?
If a lifetime of meticulous research into the advancement of the agricultural arts has taught me anything, it is that the fruits of knowledge are incapable of preserving themselves. Without an adventurer's brawn to protect them, I fear all my work will come to naught. Take, for example, the splendid ogre pumpkin crop I was able to cultivate. Years of hypothesizing and testing at last made tangible, only to be snatched away by subterranean sorners, the clever hedge moles. I've already engineered the pumpkins to resist fire, drought, frost, weeds, insects, and festive rituals. I just need someone to kill the moles.
That's mighty impressive, ma'am. I reckon I might be able to help you out. I felt sorry to have to exterminate the hedge moles, but it sounded like this woman had spent a long time perfecting her pumpkins. It would be a shame to have to restart after coming so far.
Well, that was so easy. It makes me wonder why I've spent my life formulating complex solutions to problems rather than merely going around killing things. Nevertheless, I'm afraid it's too late to alter my methods now. I'll continue to focus on the complex solutions, and you stick around to kill things. What hubris! What arrogance to believe that I, one woman alone, could overcome the unfathomably vast and profound mysteries of nature. But with you here, I'm sure we can do it.
No worries, ma'am. I'll be here to help you get your garden sorted. Later that evening, Farron and I sat overlooking the stead. The sun's rays washed the farm in a wave of cider and marmalade hues that made me think of autumns back home. I had to admit I'd grown fond of this place the last 2 days. The love and care the farmers had for their profession was obvious. Not to mention their eagerness to welcome passing adventurers was something to be admired. I decided we would spend a few more days here before we moved on to our next adventure. I wanted to make sure I did my best to help where I could. I know that's what Great-Grandpa would want me to do. As the sun's rays sunk beneath the horizon, I inhaled deeply and leaned back on my hands. I wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, but I knew, right now in this moment, I was grateful for the chance to experience it.
I said